Hello, welcome to the very first premiere edition of the Listening Archive. We're really excited to have you with us. I'm Amy Coelho.
And I'm Charlie Kilner.
So Charlie, do you want to talk about how this little project came about?
Of course, it feels like ages ago, but we were in our last media lesson, 2 days before all UK schools were told to close. And I remember that day, but not only because it was a potential abrupt ending of my whole school career, but you also said that you had an idea for a podcast and platform that you wanted my help for.
Yeah, because that's the way I cope with moments of extreme change. I have to give myself a little project, and I think I'm quite lucky that you try to get yourself immersed in a project too. So normally at this time of year, I'd be kind of helping students prepare for their A-level exams. And even for me as a teacher, I was so upset about the exams being cancelled that I was really, really quite tearful. And I wanted to immerse myself into this project as a way of coping with this complete destruction of my entire routine in a career that I've been in for quite a long time.
And I think both of us have experienced, how our life is basically turned upside down by coronavirus very quickly, but this is what everyone else is experiencing too.
And what I'm really missing is those stories that you get from people, like the spontaneous stories that we can't actually hear at the moment because we're all stuck in our houses and, quite rightly under a lockdown in the UK and in many areas of the world to try to fight against this devastating virus. But I'm really missing that spontaneity of talking to people about what they're feeling each day and not just on a virtual platform.
Yeah, and I think trying to get stories that may be behind locked doors or virtually going into people's houses when legally we actually aren't allowed to, I think is really key, as we really want to connect people who across the globe, as this is a global isolation. And I think it's probably shown us all that we're capable of experiencing the same thing together in a way that we haven't seen for a long time.
Yeah, I agree. Another thing that's been kind of weird but also quite good for us to work through is that we've had to, because the school's closed, we've worked on this project entirely remotely, so we've not had any face-to-face meetings, and we've just used operating systems. So I'm kind of glad that it seems to be working at the moment.
Well, yeah, we hope, and our website is also seemed to be working. Fingers crossed. So as long as my Wi-Fi continues to be somewhat stable.
Which is one of our challenges. It's on the challenge list. But I think if you look at the website, we've designed it so that it's really easy. Just so you press a button and then the recording gets sent to us, and that's been the most exciting thing, isn't it? That the different stories popping in from all over the world into our secure drive has been really exciting.
Yeah, and I think every week on a Wednesday you're going to hear a vast array of stories with all one thing in common, and that's we're all in this together. And our first visitor is Ben in Geneva. He talks about his routine with his 2 young children and the difference between how his work and Lara, his wife's work, has been affected.
Our experience of lockdown, I suppose, reflects the experience of a lot of people. When it first happened, it was scary, there was a lot of anxiety, and the immediate impact on my working life, first of all, was that I basically had nothing to do anymore. My to-do list evaporated overnight because I work in the publishing industry, and a lot of what I do revolves around international events, organising and managing events, and those were immediately cancelled. I had 3 lined up over spring and summer, and they've gone. So, and with it, all the tasks that I had to do to make them happen. So, for the first couple of weeks, I sat idle really, and I was kind of concerned that my job might be under threat. But luckily, I work for somebody who is very understanding, and she's also very patient. She has given me no reason to think that my job may be in question. So I'm very lucky there, because I know a lot of people are going through much worse situations. In terms of our home life, we had to work out a system. Lara works in a bank, and while I was sitting idle these first couple of weeks, she was the opposite. working her socks off, because she was in charge of a team of people whose job it was to establish systems and ways and means for making it possible for people in the bank to work from home, which is an extremely complex task because of all the security and data protection issues that entails. And allied to that, it was the fact of having to get our kids to do their homework. The school immediately began sending us homework and emailing stuff over and doing the very best they could. And for the first week, it was pretty good, and the novelty of it acted as a sort of a driver in some ways. But once the novelty had worn off, the routine and the normalcy basically seemed to ebb away. The kids started going to bed later, getting up later, as did we. But then it didn't matter because the pressure wasn't there. And one of the other effects that I noticed between the children was, was that they started to get on a hell of a lot better. Not that they were particularly in conflict beforehand, but they have certainly turned to each other during this time, and they seem to see each other as welcome playmates in the time of isolation. What else can I say? Socially, it's a challenge. We can't go out and see our friends. We, at the beginning, we had a few Zoom drinks with friends and so on, but and it was fun for a bit. But then, really, it's even sadder because realize that it's a poor substitute for the real thing, and face-to-face human contact, nothing beats it. But we know it'll pass. We're very lucky actually, because we live in a beautiful part of the world. We have a garden, we're able to get outside, the weather is fantastic, so it could be a hell of a lot worse, and it's been fun doing this. Bye.
So that was Ben, who's telling us what's going on in Switzerland. So they've been on lockdown a bit longer than us, haven't they? I think they have. So but still, it's that real loss of routine that we keep on going back to, because that's what we're struggling with. Because you spend your whole if you're like me, you spend a big proportion of life wishing you were doing something different and somewhere different. Now I'm a big traveller, so I'm especially like that. But at that point, when I've lost my routine and I've lost teaching my classes in the normal way, I'm actually really struggling with it at times.
Yeah, and I think when I heard about the news about GCSEs and A levels being cancelled, I thought I should be happy, but in fact I was devastated. I was sad, and I felt there was no closure on what many of us students and teachers have been working so hard for. But something that really did cheer me up was hearing this entry from my old maths teacher, Mr. Ackhurst, and how he is trying to help in his local community.
This is a story about someone who actually wanted to make a difference with regard to the NHS frontliners. I had no way of really thinking about what to do until I saw what they were actually doing themselves. I decided I'd cut my hair. I've never had it this short, absolutely shaved. I've heard about lots of other people having it, much better looking than I am, and it was worth it. I've tried to raise money through Just Giving, and at the moment my target is about 10 grand, and I'm looking at about 3 at this present time. A wonderful experience actually, and I do hope that at some stage that money can be put to good use. Every day I switch on the television. Every day I see things that just absolutely amaze me by people who are so brave. We thought that people were brave in World War 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or whatever. We've gone through these many times, but these people are unbelievable, and they deserve our support. I do hope that everybody else thinks of something that they can say a big thank you to these people, the frontliners, the doctors, all the people, the bus drivers, the lot. But in this case, it's the frontliners. I can't do it for everybody. And I'm certainly looking in the mirror now thinking that's the last time you'll look in the mirror for the next 3 months. I actually sang a song which I thought was quite appropriate to my fellow human beings who happened to watch me cut my hair. And it goes a bit like this. Oh, Corone, you're not a very nice bug, and I wish you'd go away. Oh, Corone, you're not a very nice bug because you change from day to day. I want to tell you that I hate you a lot, but I've got to get a belly full of air. Oh, Corone, you're not a very nice bug. Someday I'm going to make you scare. Oh, yeah. Someday the NHS is going to make you a scare. Well, I hope that sort of made sense. Lots of love. See you.
Yeah, that was Terry Atkins. What a legend. I think, and I really enjoyed hearing not just Terry's story, but lots of stories from all across the country, all across the world, where people are trying to do at least something to feel like they're making a difference. Do you think you would ever try to shave your hair off entirely, Charlie?
Definitely not entirely. I'd love to do something to raise money and raise awareness, but shaving my hair I don't think would be an option. Considering I've already attempted, as you know, attempted to give myself a
Mm.
haircut just the other
Yeah,
day. Exactly, and it wasn't too bad. I thought, considering I did it with one hand, very small mirror, and a lot of hope. But I woke up with a bit of a weird triangle at the back of my head, and yeah,
Yeah, it's just the back. The back needs the practice.
something that has been happening that we are really enjoyed in our villages is the opportunity to go out and clap and even bang on saucepans like my mum on a Thursday evening. And we got this story in from Carlos, an NHS nurse, and we realised how important the NHS frontline workers and frontline workers, wherever you are, how important they really are. And I think our whole country and the whole world is really starting to see how frontline workers are heroes.
Hello, my name is Carlos. I am one of the charge nurses in A&E in the south of England. Very challenging times for us, with a lot of preparation and waiting for the surge of patients. To have PPE is very hot and sweat, and you feel very dehydrated. Some of the masking cause you to have very dry cough as well. And some parts we're lucky, we've got some PPE. The other parts there's a massive lack of PPE, and then we are not so prepared to help patients with COVID-19 and to protect ourselves. One of the main problem for the nurses at the moment to work in the front line is with the mental health and well-being, seeing patients coming through and deteriorate very quickly, and pose a very challenge, because you want to help the patient, but also you're concerned about your family and your friends. Is a challenge times for nurses in all front.
Carlos, we thank you again for that submission. I'm not sure how I could cope with PPE and the kind of pressure that all our key workers are undergoing, including you, Miss, as you're back this week teaching.
Yeah, teaching, and also trying to make sure my own 3 children are actively taking part in their remote teaching experience, which is quite a challenge at sometimes. But what I'm really enjoying though is getting back into some kind of pattern to my life, so that it's got some kind of structure.
Yeah, and I think structure and routine are 2 words that really crop up a lot in times like these. And I think just simply making a small plan I've heard, has made a lot of people's lives a lot more enjoyable recently. And routine is something that our next visitor, Nina, talks about. Nina is an expat writer and blogger who sent us this entry all the way from Santiago, Chile. She's previously experienced a lockdown before in Chile, although last time as part of military action, and here she describes it.
Hi, I'm Nina. I'm a writer and blogger. I write about living abroad, about life as a foreigner, as a migrant, as an expat, or whatever you want to call it. I'm currently in Santiago, Chile. I'm living here with my husband and our 3 young children. We've been under lockdown in our apartment for over a month now. We haven't been outside for nearly 5 weeks. The closest I get to being outdoors is going close to our window, looking outside. It's a lovely autumnal day today. I say autumnal because we're in the southern hemisphere. So everything's a bit topsy-turvy here. I can smell the fresh, dewy scent. It rained this morning, so Santiago, which is normally horribly polluted and smoggy and grey, seems cleaner and fresher. The underlying scent, though, is, I guess, bleach and cleaning fluid. We've had a major clean in our apartment, not so much because we're worried about the coronavirus, more just we want to feel that we're living in a happy cocoon rather than somewhere we'd rather not be. We live in an apartment block, so yes, I'm sad now that we don't have a garden, but I feel safe. We're lucky in the sense we're all together. It's intense living with 3 children. I feel like I'm a sheepdog and I've got 3 little sheep constantly running in opposite directions, dropping paint and Play-Doh. Yesterday I found a raw cake mixture in my boys' underpants drawer. There are ups and downs. On some days I can laugh about it, on other days I just feel, I can't take it anymore. I guess there are ups and downs, but it's also been a gradual process from the first couple of weeks of denial and just utter despair of, I can't do this, I need to be outside, I feel I'm caged, I need fresh air, I need to run, I need to scream, I need to just be outdoors, I need my kids to run free. And I guess then acceptance of, okay, this is a new norm. I'm gonna exercise. I know I need that. I'm gonna clean the house so I feel that it's somewhere nice to be. We're gonna get into a routine, and we're gonna do this. And I guess not worry so much for my children, who, in the whole scheme of things, are actually probably really enjoying this. They're enjoying being at home. They're enjoying the lazier starts to the morning. They're enjoying having mummy and daddy around more. I asked my eldest how he was coping, how he was feeling, and what he'd most like to do after this coronavirus was all over and we could go outside. He said he missed his neighbour friend, but he was enjoying being with mummy and daddy. And when I asked him what he'd like to do once he was able to go outside, he replied he'd like to watch TV. So I don't think he's suffering too much.
I just love the bright optimism of her son there, as he talks about the main thing that he wants to be getting back to is watching television post-lockdown. But
Classic.
I really love that image of a child just taking it moment by moment, because I don't think I can actually do that at the time. I spend too much time worrying about what's going to be happening in the future. So doing things, absorbing yourself in some kind of hobby, I think is probably one way that people find of coping. Although I'm never going to go down the jigsaw route. Are you, Charlie? I don't think I'd ever do that. The jigsaw.
No, jigsaw, sewing. I'm not really. No.
No.
Hobbies is something that our friend Reese, a 15-year-old guitarist, has been doing. As he is running his own music live sessions from his house every Sunday. They're very professional. He's called them Corona sessions, and here he explains more.
This is my Corona session story. My inspirations were performing at school, and one of my favourite events is called the Johnson Sessions, which is when a bunch of musicians play small chilled out sets, which rotates between different musicians playing different genres in front of a small audience. Due to the current outbreak of COVID-19, everyone is in lockdown, spending more and more time at home. This is a great opportunity for people to explore live music using social media platforms. Having played guitar for 9 years now, I'm at the stage where this is what I want to do as a career, and now seems like the right time to start live streaming my playing every Sunday night 8 to 9, with an hour-long set taking requests. This isn't just great for me, because I love playing, but it is also great for the people who watch me, as they can sit back, relax, and it will hopefully cheer up and enlighten their day, while they can listen to me play some of their favourite songs and practice their requests. The feedback so far has been excellent, and the audience has been growing at a really promising rate ever since the start of Corona sessions.
Reese has kindly let us listen to some of his guitar from his Corona sessions, and here that is. Thanks, Reese. Thank you very much. And you can catch Reese at Reese Miller Guitar on Facebook, Instagram. That's RHYS Miller Guitar every Sunday. And we've almost come to the end of our visitors here. And I think there's one person that really resonated with me when I was going through them, that I think that their positive voice can really finish off our first episode. And that's Sarah. And here she describes reconnecting with her mum in sunny Wales.
Hi, I'm Sarah Darling. I'm a travel writer from Brighton. Yeah, funny times, but actually they're really positive for me. Even though travel has taken a big hit, I've come back to Wales and I've spent some real quality time with my mum, which I haven't done for quite some time. I've learnt knitting. I'm getting super fit. I'm doing boxercise in the garden. I'm bonding with the dog. And looking forward to what happens after all this is finished. Obviously, don't know what is going to happen with work, but I'm reading lots. The weather's been beautiful, so I am remaining completely optimistic about the future.
Brilliant. So she's talking about ancient craft again, the knitting, but again, a thing that I could never attempt to do because I'd be really rubbish at it. Charlie, have you enjoyed connecting with your family over this time?
Yeah, I know you have, and I definitely have too, although not in the knitting front. I'm really appreciating time, with my little sister and the small things we do as a family. I also think it's a really key time to stay in contact with your friends and family that aren't necessarily with you right now. A simple text or call could really make their day. So we hope that you enjoyed our first episode.
If it's inspired you in any way, we really sincerely hope that you visit us at listeningarchive.com, where we'd love to hear your story or your memory or whatever it is you want to talk about. Don't be afraid that we've put like 8 minutes on it. Just use whatever time you want to, and our podcast will get released every Wednesday.
Also, it's not necessary to put your name, your first or last name. So please feel free to put an anonymous voice message into us, and we hope to hear it here on our podcast. Next episode, we have been really inspired by some of the creativity that we've seen, especially from Nick, that's made a film with his 4-year-old daughter, and how his 4-year-old daughter heard birds for the first time.
Yeah, it's so lovely to hear her voice and the way she's capturing what's going on, isn't it? And then we've got Hannah, who's connecting with her neighbours through the ancient art of keep fit all along the street.
I think Hannah's story is really, really nice. She's brought together her road, her little own community together, and she talks about how her neighbours, although living there a long time, not really connecting it with them in this time of negativity, she's really looked for her neighbours, and they're almost like family now, and that's amazing. So next episode we'll be catching up with Hannah and Nick. Thank you very much for listening, and again, if you want to get in touch, please just visit our website www.listeningarchive.com.
Yeah, it would be really great if you're listening to us on Apple, if you can leave us a positive rating. We're a student-teacher combo who's just learning as we go along. So it'd be great to have some feedback. Otherwise, if you're on any other directory, just give us a follow so that we know that you're appreciating our work. That would be great. Thanks.